We've got the Book of Joe. It's out this week, and it is trying not to suck at baseball and life. So first off, first question, which have you found it easier to not suck at, baseball or life?
To not suck at, that's a good one, right?
Hey, everybody, welcome to Away Games, a Chicago Cubs podcast. My name is Kevin McCaffrey, and I'm here with Adam Mamawala as well. And we're going to get right into the show today because, as you probably heard, and as you have read in the description for the episode, we've got World Series winning manager Joe Maddon on the show with us today. He sat down, talked to us for a half an hour about all sorts of stuff. He's got a book out right now called The Book of Joe. It's a collaboration with Tom Verducci called The Book of Joe, Trying Not to Suck at Baseball and Life. And Joe came on, and it was a really fun hang. Heard some stories we had not heard before, and we just had a good time. So follow us at WayGamesPod on Twitter, Instagram, all the things. And without any further ado, here is Joe Maddon.
How you doing, sir?
Nice jersey. Hi, guys. What's up?
Thank you.
How are you?
Good.
I assume you mean the jersey with your name on it, not my
Yeah,
jersey,
who gave
which is
you
also
that?
a nice jersey.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Joe, this isn't usually how my studio is set up. I must
Awesome.
say, but this
I
is
see the book too. Yeah.
Yes, we got the book.
I
Thank you for
appreciate it, man.
those.
Thank you.
The jersey is actually my wife's jersey, so you should know that she, you're doing well with the ladies in my life. So
Tell her thank you so much. That's very cool. Very
yes,
cool.
Of course.
so
How
just
you guys doing? All right? Everybody
yeah,
good?
we're
Doing well, yeah. Thank you for joining.
Awesome.
This is a very fun day for us, and if you're watching on the YouTube channel, you already know what's happening here. But we have, as the guest of our show today, the manager of the World Series champion Chicago Cubs, Joe Maddon, is here. Joe, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for asking, man. I'm having a great time here in Sugarloaf, Pennsylvania.
Ooh,
Yes, golfing, gardening, and grilling is my life right now, and I can't complain about that.
Oh,
So all is well here.
well, we wanted to welcome you, first of all, in a way that when you came to the Cubs, our favorite team, you obviously closed the press conference offering everyone a shot and a beer. And I personally was offended that it didn't seem like people were taking you up on it. So
Right?
Adam and I have a shot and a beer here. Do you have anything to drink? It is maybe early in the day for you, although I don't know how grilling
It's
goes.
in the other room. Could I have a sip of my coffee? Is that groovy?
You could
Absolutely.
absolutely, yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
thank you.
So when you did that, did anyone take you up on it, first of all?
Very few. I mean, it wasn't enough, and I was supposed to go back. Sully called me, and I wanted to go back, but it was hard to get back in there. But no, very few people. I was prepared to spend a couple $1,000. I thought that's what it was going to cost me,
Yeah,
and nothing happened.
yeah. I
Well,
felt
Chicago shot in a beer too. I thought I'd get better reception.
was it. Yeah, I thought so too. I was
It's a
disappointed.
little Malort and an old style, I assume.
Yeah, well, for me, it's like back here, like a VO back here, maybe a VO and a Yingling.
Yeah, I thought, I almost got a Yingling. I'm sitting here with the Peroni, but I
Oh,
thought
that's
maybe
not bad.
it's not bad. But I thought for the Pennsylvania angle, that is a good.
Yeah, I figured Yingling or Rolling Rock. That was usually the area.
Right. Rolling Rock is a little bit farther away. Yingling's in Pottsville. Pottsville is really right down the street.
In the interest of pandering, Joe, I wanted to let you know that in my
Yes.
time as a comedian, I not only got to perform at Lafayette College, but I also performed at University of Scranton Hazleton.
Get
And
out.
that was a show in a cafeteria in broad daylight at noon. It was a real minor league sort of college experience.
But yeah, at Lafayette, when did you do Lafayette? Where were you? In Colton Chapel?
No, it was as part of a fundraiser. So I was in whatever the basketball arena was, and they
Oh,
had
you were
like
in
different
Kirby.
sections.
So, Joe, what you're promoting right now, what you're talking about, is we've got the Book of Joe. It's out this week, and it is trying not to suck at baseball and life. So, first off, first question: which have you found it easier to not suck at, baseball or life?
To not suck at. That's a good one, right? I guess
Thank you.
at life, right?
I mean, that's the
Yeah, yeah.
ideal
'Cause
answer.
I've sucked at baseball, right? So I'm hoping I haven't sucked at life. It's so easy to suck at baseball. I mean,
Yeah,
people don't
I've done
understand
it.
how tough this game is. This game is really difficult to play every day. The everyday starter, everyday player in the major leagues, people have no idea how hard it is to be a 300 hitter or a 20 game winner. It's just to have your body function well every day because you're going to be hurting and repeat mechanics successfully Very difficult to do.
Well, to your point, I mean, even the best baseball players suck more than half of the time.
70%. I mean, right now, Judge has a shot, right? Be a triple crown. That's the thing. Everybody's talking about home runs. To me, the most interesting part of Judge's pursuit right now would be the fact that he wins a triple crown. I would love that. That would be the coolest thing ever.
It would be really fun. And this is like, obviously you're coming off a year where for a lot of it, you were working with the guy who won the MVP last year and who's being talked about alongside Judge. Looking at Shohei's stats, I mean, it's like, it's weird to, obviously the Triple Crown is something we can understand, but Shohei's stats, he's like top 4 in a ton of things on both sides, pitching and hitting at this point. I mean, in the case of Shohei and with Mike Trout here working with, I feel like those guys are obviously, everyone knows they're possibly the 2 most elite talents in the world. Do you feel like there's a chance that they're still underrated somehow?
I don't think enough people get to see them. I mean, that's part of not being in the playoffs. Playing on the West Coast, the games start later. I think most people like them from what they've heard about them or read about them, and of course, video clips on now and again, but they don't get to see them normally play a complete game unless you're living on that in that time zone. That's the part about their genius that people really have not been able to really get to that point yet. You need to see them more consistently. To see Shohei hit and pitch on the same day, like you see that in person, and you really know the genius of this young man. And then Mikey, Trouty right now is hot. I mean, I saw him the other day. I love this batting stance right now. He's hot. And to see, this is a big man. This guy could be a fullback or a halfback, running back with any NFL team. This is a big man, and he plays at that level. So you'd have to see them in person, or at least on TV more consistently, to really genius.
Yeah, Trout, I mean, I obviously missed a chunk of the year, but I just saw his home run total. It's like the quietest 39 homers, I feel like.
Unbelievable.
You're right on the money. Right on the money.
I caught your first book as well. One difference I saw here was that I feel like this book has a lot more of your actual quotes in it. It feels like it has a lot more of your direct voice in this book. So for people who may have read the first one, what along those lines, what can they expect from this one?
Well, I had nothing to do with the first one.
Well, there you go.
I had nothing to do. That was Bill Chastain and Jesse Rogers, and they wrote that book based on news clippings and knowing me in press conferences. And I think they talked to a couple of my friends too, but I had zero to do with that book. So I hope you liked it. I like Jesse and Bill a lot. I hope
it's nice hearing stories. Yeah,
exactly. But this is all me and of course Tom Verducci. This is kind of like I started like chronologically trying to put it together to make some sense of it, and then Tommy would take what I had said the day before. I did everything via audio on a dictaphone while I was riding my bicycle. And then he would take it and come back and make me drill down the next day deeper into my thoughts. And so this is truly who I am and where I came from with all of this. And I think it's the kind of a book, hopefully people agree that it's not just a baseball book by any means. So hopefully it's going to appeal to leadership types or different industries to get some kind of inspiration from.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, you hold a special place in our hearts as the person who ostensibly made our dreams come true that we've had our entire lives. So when you think about that season, the 2016 season, and of course the pinnacle being Game 7 and all of the chaos that was involved in that, do you consider, after a life in baseball, do you consider that to be the greatest game you were in the dugout for as a member of any coaching staff? And if not, Absolutely. What else would be up there?
No, that was it. I mean, I'd have to say the second is that definitely when the Angels won the World Series in 2002. Yeah. I mean, at that point, there was a lot of emotion in my life. My dad had just passed away. My daughter was getting married. I was going through a divorce. There was like, you talk about riding the roller coaster there. Emotional.
Big year, yeah.
Oh my God! And then that's your first time you get a chance to do that. My dad's hat was in the dugout with me, but my dad was in the dugout with me in Cleveland also. So on a personal achievement level, obviously being a manager, that's your baby you're holding. That's all your thoughts. That's who you are working in that game. It's a surrealistic moment. It's never going to be duplicated. To be part of that group, I could hold on to that forever.
If you can bring yourself back to the emotions of that, because I think as Cubs fans, and we're on the younger side, but for me, the feeling that I had when they won, it was like 10% joy and 90% relief. I was just so relieved that it had happened after the ups and downs of that game. For you, do you think it was more pure joy? You're not necessarily a lifelong Cubs fan, or what? How do you describe that emotion?
It was joy. I didn't never even
Yeah.
thought about the word relief. It was pure
Hmm.
joy. It's joy, and then it's like who you're sharing this with. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Every time as a manager, you would get into a round of a playoffs, I would look down the dugout as the last out is made. I'm looking at my coaching staff, what it means to them financially, and what it means to their careers. So every time you advance, that last game, that last out, I always look at my coaches. I'm so happy for them. I mean, not that I'm not happy for the players. Don't get me wrong.
Of
But
course, yeah.
coaches don't make that kind of bread, you know. So it was
Yeah.
always about that. But that last out, that ground ball to throw to Riz, pure joy, exaltation. 108 years. That was it. There was no kind of relief. You get so involved in the moment, man. It was all about joy.
I'm sure we could check the tape, but do you remember the first person you looked at or caught coming off that ground ball? Do you remember the first person, as you say, when
Davey
you would look at
Martinez.
Davey
Oh,
Martinez?
I mean, I hugged. I mean, Davey, you got to understand. Davey Martinez is a strong human being. He got me once when Aki caught that ground ball and stepped on second base. He crushed me with the bear hug. I really thought he broke ribs. I couldn't even hardly talk. I had to go on the stage and talk, and I had no breath. So he grabbed me, and I went, Davey, be careful here now. So he gave me a good old bear hug. But Davey is one strong human being. Be careful with that if he wants to hug you.
Yeah, I will. It hasn't come up yet, but yeah, he is.
You never know with Davey.
In terms of the years after the World Series, Adam and I have talked about this before, just like looking back at those years as fans, thinking about what teams we feel like were closest to it. Obviously, you made the Final Four 3 years in a row there, 15, right. 16, 17, which I think it's been a weird year to be a Cubs fan, as you probably know. It's been a weird couple of years, really. But I think a lot of people can forget that not only there was the World Series, but it was the Final Four 3 years in a row. When you look back at those teams, if you could take one more run at it with any single year of the other of your other Cubs teams, which is there one that you feel like had the best shot?
Yeah, I mean the third year, 17, because 15 we were just putting it together. I mean, look at that roster and how far that roster got. That was pretty darn good because there was zero expectations of doing that going into that 15 season. Right. I was talking about it from the very first day. But that talent-wise, I think 17 matched up better talent-wise to get back there. And actually, I'll tell you the toughest part about that was after we beat Washington, which was like that might have been one of the toughest series I've ever been involved in.
Adam was there.
I was at that Game 5, and it was one of the more wild games I've ever seen.
But we have to get on an airplane and fly to LA that night. Yeah. We got stuck in Albuquerque because we had a medical emergency on the plane, and we're on the ground until 10 o'clock the next morning. And we didn't play that day, of course, but we played the next day at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That time, those time changes and sleeping in an airplane, that beats you up a little bit. Nobody ever talks about that, but that had something to do with, we just didn't have the same energy. Also, if you remember Wade Davis, what he pitched 2 1/3 innings to get a save game. So we couldn't even use him. And then people were upset when Johnny Lackey gave up a home run in one of those games. But we were, you're kind of down a little bit. You're down in regards to what you can do. So that's part of this, what people don't talk about. It's the interconnectivity of all of this, the playoff games. We had to come from Washington. The Dodgers went to Arizona and back, Arizona and back, Arizona and back. They beat them like 3 in a row. So that one airplane flight was the toughest. That hurt us. That hurt us regarding 2017. Yeah.
Plus you dealt with the rain out in that series.
Yeah.
And when you talk about that Wade Davis performance, to me it was so reminiscent of the previous year, what Chapman did for you in Game 5. Getting those 8 outs, but that's and it also speaks to in 2016 the way things lined up, where if you guys don't come back in that Game 4 against the Giants, and all of a sudden you have to go back home and face Cueto, even if you win that game, you're not lined up the same way against the Dodgers, and there's this kind of ripple effect.
Correct. I mean that's you're 100% right. Game 4 against the Giants won the World Series, I thought, or gave us a chance to win the World Series.
Yeah.
Had we not won that game, I can't even tell you we would have advanced. Cueto was that good. And we didn't hit Cueto. Look up our numbers. When you get done here, look up our numbers against Cueto. and he was at the top of his game at that point. I did not like that. So we're losing. Matty Moore's pitching for the Giants, who I had with the Rays, and I'm thinking, God damn, Matty, lighten up here a little bit. He was unhittable. Plus, he drove in a run, and he can't hit. So
oh, that's right.
Everything's going,
he's not
everything's
Shohei.
going right. So everything's going wrong all of a sudden. And I said to myself, we got to figure this out. And then here it came, because I did not want to play that next game at home.
No.
Yeah, and you mentioning 2015, how people weren't expecting it is a great thing to point out too. I, as a Cubs fan my whole life, who obviously was sad many times and expected the worst many times, I have never felt better about a season ending than in 2015 and in 2017, honestly, because it felt like 17 was like that Washington series, like you say, it really felt like that team left. It's a cliche, but left everything out there in a way that I didn't feel any regret from that. And in 2015, I used to leave my Octobers open in terms of a stand-up comedy calendar, much like Bill Murray would do, except no one gives a shit when it's me. But but I had the same plan. And in 2015, I was still booking my Octobers. I was like, this year I could still not sweat it, and it got very close there.
Absolutely, yeah. No, 2015. That. You remember the reason why we didn't get any further was the Mets pitching staff. That was an incredible Mets.
Oh yeah.
And Murphy, and Daniel Murphy. It was Daniel Murphy and that pitching staff that just kicked our butts. The first pitch of the first game in New York, I don't know if it was 30-some degrees, low 30s with the wind chill.
Right.
It's blowing, and Dexter goes up there, and the first pitch from Harvey is changeup located outside edge down strike. The moment you have command of your stuff and your emotions like that under those circumstances, I thought, this is not good.
No. And Adam and I both live in Queens, actually, and we've been to so many of those games. It's been a tough place to be many times. Although earlier in that 2015 year, it was fantastic. You guys swept them right out of there. That's
when little was Jonathan, our little utility player. Come on, what was his name?
Herrera.
Safety squeeze, bunt, hit, scored a run, and then hits a home run to right field, hit the top of the wall and bounced over. When that happens, you know good things are on the right.
You're on good vibes.
That's right.
For sure.
That's right.
So one thing that is very new in this book, in the Book of Joe, that to me is your account of the after 2016 years, the after 2017 years, and of leaving the Cubs. And obviously there's a lot to that, and we could talk about it forever. We know you have to go before too long here. But one thing I did want to ask you: you are, I think, only the second childhood Cardinals fan that we've had on the show, but.
Sorry.
That's okay. You've more than made up for it many times. But this is a specific point that I had never heard this story until reading the book. Was when you were telling the team that you were not going to be coming back, and where you chose to do it, and specifically about a place you chose not to have your final party. And I just wondered if you could tell us about that and about that final night.
Yeah, I know it wasn't coming back. It was we're in St. Louis as the last series, and I was not going to permit that ballpark to hear me say that in the clubhouse. The fact
in St. Louis.
That was in St. Louis, right? So I talked to VJ. VJ was our traveling secretary, the best. And I said, listen, we need that outside space at the hotel Saturday night, because I don't want to talk to the guys in that particular clubhouse. I don't want those walls to hear those words coming out of my mouth. So we went to the hotel that night afterwards. There's a really cool area outside, and they all showed up, and I gathered them together, and I probably talked for about 15 minutes, told them what was going on, and I thanked them all, and I told them there's nothing to be upset about. This has been an awesome experience for me and for us. So I got that through that, and then that night after that, I don't know, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, Rizzo, Johnny, Javi, they all came up to the room and just hung out.
That's a good party.
It was great. It was great. It was the right way to do it. But the walls of that ballpark was not going to hear me say, I'm not coming back.
I love that. I love that for the emotional honesty of that moment, and just the right level of, I don't know if spite's the right word, but for me it is. Is that ballpark does not deserve that.
You're going to hear this. Yeah.
No,
Right.
I love that.
Do we have a brief lightning round for you?
Okay.
And then we want to hear about where you would like people to purchase your book. Actually, let's start with that. Where is there a particular place you would prefer that people purchase from, your website or anything like that, or just wherever they can get it?
It's on Amazon. It's on Amazon, I think, exclusively right now. It's on Amazon. I don't even know if the pre-order is still going on or not. The first 500 was going to be the book plus a Do Simple Better T-shirt. But if you go there to Amazon, you'll be able to connect with it very easily.
All right, Kevin, you want to take off this first lightning round question?
Sure. So we are, as we said before, we're Adam and I are our day job or night job as it were. We're comedians, so obviously, I think in terms of, I think one of the reasons why my wife chose your jersey to buy. My wife is a comedy writer, and she works on Howard Stern as well, and she, I think, is because of your sense of humor being something that stood out among baseball people that I think were public. So are you a fan of stand-up comedy or any stand-up comics in particular? Do you have a favorite comic from growing up, from ever, from now, whatever?
Yeah, I mean, Richard Pryor, of course.
It's a great place to start.
Pryor, and then George Carlin was a big part of my youth. He switched from the hippy dippy weatherman to eventually became what he became with the hair and the way the
almost a Shohei Ohtani like split as a comedian.
I mean, right? He had it all going on.
Yeah,
but it goes back to Pryor. I mean, that's when we were kids. That was big. I mean, seeing his specials. Eddie Murphy was pretty good too, though. Man, I enjoyed that stuff also. I'm really, I could go Hughley.
D.L. Hughley, yeah.
I love his stuff too. I'm big on that stuff because when HBO and those groups came on board with filming the concerts and playing them, man, we would wait. Like it's on Saturday night, you got to be there at 9 o'clock to watch this shit. It was that good.
All right, my question for you is some hard-hitting journalism. You can see our names. I'm Adam Mamawala. He's Kevin McCaffrey. If you were going to give us ball player nicknames, what would you nickname us?
We got
his last name.
Adam Mamawala.
Okay, Mamawala. I was trying to get through that. Right.
It's a tough one. Yeah.
Walla Banger.
Walla Banger.
Oh,
yes.
Nice.
Walla Banger. And it was Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin, you're two. Kevin McCaffrey, man.
It's just.
I feel like it was usually the name and then a Y. I got
it. I got it. I would just call you Free. I would call it McCaffrey Free.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, you'd be Walla Banger, and that would be Free.
Free, I'll take Free all day long. It's a good price. Yeah. It's a little American. It's I love all the angles on that.
Yeah, I'd go Free. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Do you wine Rex? What wine are you drinking? We're doing a shot and a beer before you gave us your shot and a beer, but I know you're a big wine guy. You and our friend Ian Happ, obviously big fans. But
yeah, Happer's really good. There's something called Cair, Cair. It's Spanish. Mm-hmm. From Ribera del Duero region of Spain. I'm killing it. I just ordered another 6 bottles, $25 a bottle. And
oh man, this is in our price range.
This stuff. Yeah. I'll tell you what. I got a picture of it right here. I'll show you on your screen. I'm telling you, that is outstanding stuff.
Oh, I'll get after that.
On this particular app, it's $25 a bottle. Ribera del Duero region of Spain. If it says Ribera del Duero region of Spain, buy it. It's always good.
It's a great tip. We obviously know famously you're a big fan of The Office. Are you binging any shows right now? What are you binging?
Yeah, Seinfeld. I've been killing Seinfeld again. I'm not a TV guy. I watch Seinfeld or The Office, and I've just been. I mean, I love every character in Seinfeld. So the last 90 days, I probably watched it 80. I've watched Seinfeld. That's how I go to bed.
It's weirdly evergreen, and it's weird. It is.
And now I'm at the point I can make references all the time. I mean, these pretzels make me thirsty. That's one of my favorite lines these days.
Well, speaking of pretzels, as two comedians from Chicago who live in New York, do you have, from your time visiting New York, a favorite restaurant in New York City?
Carmine's.
Oh, there
classic.
You go. Little family style. Little family style.
Oh my! Hey, their porterhouse.
Yeah.
Totally underrated.
That's
or maybe it's not. It's outstanding.
I think it's not what you think of when you go there, though. So
correct. I mean, you could have all the Italian food is great, but get their porterhouse. It's huge and it's cooked perfectly and it's delicious.
I've got one last one for you.
Okay.
I'll end
Walla
with the
banger.
baseball
Okay.
one.
Walla banger
Walla
coming
banger.
through. One more banger.
I've already changed my Twitter handle to that, so you've set me up for life. Kevin mentioned you being able to manage Shohei and Trout, two of the best players we've seen in, 100 years. If you could manage any player playing right now who you have not coached, is there a particular person who comes to mind?
Right now.
Right now.
Or
I thought
ever,
you were gonna
I
go-
would say too.
It could be dead or alive. We could do
I was
dead or
gonna,
alive.
I was going to go Jackie Robinson, but if
There
you're
you
going to
go.
if you're going to go present time, wow, I'm on. I don't want to be a bandwagon guy, but Aaron Judge, I got to speak with him this year before I was let go. We were playing the Yankees, and I went out to talk to Riz, and Judgey happened to be there, and I had not spoken with him before. He came over. We talked for about 10 minutes. I could not have been more impressed. Authentic human being, just sincere. I mean, whatever you see on TV, these interviews, that is exactly who this guy is. Plus he's a real baseball player. He's vying for the Triple Crown. He's a tremendous base runner. He plays defense. He throws well, and all he cares about is winning. Aaron Judge.
It's between him and Rizzo. This has been the year I've probably felt the most okay with rooting for the Yankees on the side a little bit.
That's the right way to put it.
And I bet they could both crush you with a hug if they wanted to.
Yeah. Anthony's like that. I call him Anthony's, AIES. Anthony's is a strong human being too.
Yes. Joe, thanks so much for coming on. People can get the Book of Joe on Amazon. Please do it. And A, thank you so much for coming on our little podcast. B, thank you for what you did with the Cubs and making it so fun for those 5 years. As lifelong fans, truly, I can't tell you how much we enjoyed it during it and since, too. It was a beautiful time for us.
Truly, thank you.
Appreciate it. Banger free. Have a great day. See you boys down the bar.
Thanks, Joe. Enjoy the grillings.
Well, man, thank you. Appreciate it.
Ya.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Big thanks to Joe Maddon for coming on the show. You can follow us at Away Games Pod on Twitter and Instagram, and you can go get Joe's book on Amazon, The Book of Joe, Trying Not to Suck at Baseball and Life. Thanks, Joe Maddon.